Hello everybody and welcome to our channel where we discuss estate planning and probate topics. Today we're going to talk about transferring real property, real estate, into your revocable living trust. You know, our video with the highest amount of viewers is how to transfer assets into your trust. So today we're going to start a little mini series on how to transfer specific types of assets into your trust. So I'm interested to know, if you have a revocable living trust, is your home titled in the name of the trust? Please comment below and let's see what we get. You know, one of the biggest mistakes folks make after setting up a revocable living trust is not funding their trust. You know, folks are always coming into our office and wanting to update their trust. And so when they come in, we have a discussion just like they had no estate planning at all. I want to know where they're coming from. And I want to know why they're coming into our office. And I want it to be just like they're coming into our office for the first time. Now, the reason I want to have that kind of conversation is to learn what they are really wanting to accomplish. I want to know their estate planning goals. I would say that over 50% of the time during those conversations, I learn that little, if any of their assets are actually in their revocable living trust. They have essentially failed to fund their trust. That means they have spent thousands of dollars for a document that is really just collecting dust and is going to do very little to assist in protecting them during incapacity and their family after their death, because they have failed to properly fund their trust. I have talked about what it means to fund a trust in this video up here, but basically it means changing the ownership of an asset from your name to the name of the trust, to the name of your trust. Now, the revocable trust, living trust, technically will own the asset, but since you are the trustee, you still control the assets. Examples might be a bank account, which we'll discuss in our next video, or as we're discussing today, real property, your house, any real estate that you own. For most people, one of their biggest assets is their home. And for some reason, it is also the #1 asset overall that we see in our office that folks don't put into their trust. Some of the reasons this happens is that folks will try and create a trust on their own by using a downloaded trust off of the internet. Another reason is that they did go to a proper estate planning attorney who put their home at the time into their revocable living trust. Then what happens is those folks sell their home and they don't put the new home into their trust. We have seen this happen probably several times in the last several years. We had a daughter come in after her father had passed away. The father had created a revocable living trust and he had done a fantastic job of putting everything into his trust, except for his house. When he first created his trust 10 years ago, the home he owned at the time was properly titled in the name of his revocable living trust. However, he decided to downsize from a 4,000 square foot home to a much smaller one, and he purchased a really nice little cottage home. For whatever reason, he did not call his attorney or inform the title company, and this really nice little cottage home was titled in his personal name and not the name of his trust. So we had to go through probate for that one asset, costing the estate thousands of dollars. To do this, we used his portal wheel, which I talked about in this video up here, to put the home back into his trust and then distribute it according to the terms of the trust. Again, it was an unnecessary exercise costing thousands of dollars if the house had just been titled correctly in the beginning. That is why I like to meet with my estate planning clients anytime there is a change in their financial or their personal life. So the way we transfer real property, your home, into trust is by preparing a deed. This can usually be done with a quitclaim deed, transferring the house from the owner's name, your personal name, to the name of your revocable living trust. So, for example, let's say Jim and Sophia are married and own their home together. They come to the Cortes Law Firm and we draft a revocable living trust centered estate plan for them. Now, we would also prepare a deed transferring that home from Jim and Sophia as a married couple to the Jim and Sophia Revocable Living Trust dated February 4th, 2020, or whatever date they actually signed the documents. This transfer can also be done with a warranty deed. Sometimes people might want to make certain that their title is clean, and we will use a title company to transfer the property to the Jim and Sophia Revocable Living Trust dated February 4th, 2020. Now, this is rare and it sometimes just depends on the situation, but it's always an option that we can do to ensure that the client has clean title. Now, there are a few things you need to be aware of regarding transferring real estate into your Revocable Living Trust. First, if there is a mortgage on the home, then it might be a good idea to check the mortgage language to make certain there is not a weird due on sale clause that would be triggered if the property is transferred into your trust. These clauses rarely apply to folks and their Revocable Living Trust, but it is something that should be considered. Usually mortgage companies just want to get paid. The next item is Homeowners Insurance. This is usually not a big deal, but it does require a call to your insurance agent to make certain that both you and the trust are covered by the policy. The third item to consider is if the property has some sort of real estate exemption. Again, this is usually not a problem if the deed is recorded correctly with a memorandum of trust or a certificate of trust. But here again, it is worth calling your taxing authority to make certain the exemption is not lost in the transfer. If you go to an estate planning attorney, like me, they should make certain your home is properly titled in the name of your trust. Then, anytime something changes, either in your personal life or your financial life, you should check with your estate planning attorney to see if it affects your Revocable Living Trust. Remember, a Revocable Living Trust is a living document that needs to grow with you. Well, that's all for today. If you got value, then please hit the like button below. And if this is your first time, then please hit the subscribe button to be notified of our next video on how to transfer bank accounts into your Revocable Living Trust. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and as always, have an awesome week. We'll see you next time.